Good afternoon, and welcome to the Voice of Wisdom. With over 60 years of experience as an investment banker, entrepreneur, venture capitalist, securities analyst, and advisor, Morty Davis is a Wall Street legend. In addition, Mr. Davis is an outstanding economist and highly articulate, incisive, and very entertaining political analyst and strategist. He's Wall Street and capitalism personified. The over 400 companies for which he has raised more than $3 billion over the years have created a countless number of jobs and exciting new products. Through The Voice of Wisdom, Mr. Davis explores, analyzes, and debates the most topical economic and social issues facing our world today. Joining Mr. Davis today for a discussion on the news making the headlines is Len Carter. Len is an investment banker, business consultant, and private investor. And now, Mr. Davis and Mr. Carter.
Welcome back. It's Wednesday again. Although actually, we're recording this late Tuesday because I have prior engagements this Wednesday that are very important. Nothing is more important than being with you, so I want to make sure we at least deliver this Wednesday's podcast. So, at the outset, as always, I want to apologize for the podcast that we're sending you, that I'm sending you, because we deal with the week's news. And the week's news, as always, to make the headlines, has to be tragedies. Even this morning or yesterday, late in the day, some family was wiped out on the West Coast. No reason yet. And 2 little kids, and so forth. And who needs to hear that? But that's the news, and it's breaking news. And then the rest of the time, if you want to know what it's all about, you have to stay tuned or keep going back to the different news cable stations and see what was the reason. Was there some special motive? Was the shooter insane? Was it a member of the family that went off his rocker? Any number of things. So it's always during the week, multiple events that are tragedies, that are mass slaughters, that are tsunamis, floods, fires, thousands of people killed by earthquakes. It's just, if you don't realize that it's human beings and children that are being destroyed, if it was just fiction, you would, even when you read a book of fiction, you can get depressed, but you don't get as depressed as when you hear it as a reality. So, in respect to the fact that this podcast brings up all these matters that are so devastating and depressing, and if you're a normal human being, as I think most of my listeners are, that's a presumption maybe. But from the notes I get back from my listening audience, you are a special group. I'm very impressed. You're brilliant. You write such incisive notes and comments, and even those that are very critical of me, which at first set me back, and I get angry. And then as I think about it, it makes me think more about the validity of some of the criticism. It doesn't mean I adopt it or I accept it, but it gets me to think about it, and I tend to be open to modifying my views. So keep on sending me your comments, your criticisms, your objective views, even if you think it may be bothersome to me. I really appreciate any time you take to deal with what we discuss. But in as much as I know the subjects we discuss are so depressing, even as I know them from earlier in the week, because they're a summary, even as I discuss them in this podcast, they depress me again. So to get you off that, or to help you deal with that and lead a happier life, not even just happier, as I say repeatedly to you, people in this country and in the United States think of happiness as events that give them a high. So drugs or alcohol or making a killing in a stock market, those are all uplifting and very exciting at the moment. But that's not really contentment that you want to experience over time and throughout life. So my definition of happiness is uplifting, contentment, inspiring thoughts, positive thoughts, love, events in your family, of your wife, your husband, your children, your best friends, your neighbors, things that give you a lift. Giving charity. Today there was an announcement by Dell. I forget his first name. Michael Dell, who's made a fortune in the computer field, the Dell computer. And now he's big in AI and every advanced technology. So he's made many, many billions of dollars. He's one of the wealthiest people on earth. And he and his wife were introduced by Trump for something they did today on Giving Tuesday. Every Tuesday they have Giving Tuesday, where people announce or encouraged to give donations and make contributions to good causes, to children, to people on poverty, to give them food and give them opportunities that they would not otherwise not have, absent the role that you introduce. So Dell was introduced by the president telling his wife that he was donating $6.75 billion, of which he's going to give every child that's born in the future an initial, I forget if it was $1,000 or $2,000 as a head start for families that could never accumulate much to give to their kids, and put it in the stock market and have the families add to it $100 a week, $100 a month for continuously throughout their growing up, so that by the time, if they get it when they're born, by the time they're 18, historically, based on the past experience of the stock market.
They'd have at least $900.
No. They'd have some of them in excess of $150,000. And by the time they're 18. By the time that they're 35, they would have $700,000. For people in the lowest income experience of the economic ladder. It's money kind of money that never be expected to accumulate or be aware of, and it gives them a chance to enjoy the stock market, to learn capitalism, to see the power of compound interest, going from $1,000 to $700,000 when you're 35. If you put it just a nominal amount, in addition, from the startup, that Dell is going to give every child that's born. So Trump was very excited about it, introduced Dell and his wife. He was so excited about it, he calls it part of the incentive that came about from his beautiful legislation that he passed. And it's going to be called the Trump savings account or something, the Trump shareholder account. And the kid will be able to look at his own account and see it rising and experience the joy of capitalism and the understanding of the stock market and the power of compound interest, what it does if you save money on a regular basis without doing anything extra special, just putting it in the stock market on a regular basis. So that you're buying. There's the one sure way to make money in the stock market, including the times that you seem to be losing, because by buying it regularly, every week, you're buying when it's higher, you're buying less shares, and when it goes down and everybody's depressed that the market's bad, you'll be buying more shares. It's what Buffett calls whenever other people are depressed, he says he looks forward to it because it's like shares are on a sale, or the more they drop, like a fire sale even. Mm-hmm. So he's putting the same amount at the different levels, because a lot of people put their money in at once, and if they enter the market at the wrong time, they could experience a steep drop, and it could take them years to get back to the original investment. This way, you don't have to think about it. It's a sure winner. So I tell people that are nervous about entering the market, don't jump in with all your money at once. Put an initial amount in and then add a weekly amount throughout your life, as long as you're, capable of doing that. And you'd be surprised how much you'd have available for your retirement, or to give to your kids to go to college, or to give them as a inheritance. So this is given every kid in a poor neighborhood, in those neighborhoods that are the lowest income neighborhoods in the United States, a great head start. And Trump played it up so much and said it was such an amazing thing for somebody to make such a fabulous contribution, because he's given it to, I think, a couple of million kids every year, $1,000 or more for every child in that income, whose parents are in that lowest income category. And he was so proud of it that he's calling it the Trump account or something. I forget exactly what. You'll be reading about it. It'll be certainly the headline in Wednesday's paper. For a change, it'll be good news on the front cover because it's so dramatic. It's over $6 billion.
You think that's
as an initial, and also it's going to encourage other corporations and other wealthy individuals to add to this corpus, this amount of money for the kids.
You know what I would rather he do with his money than give it away to infant newborns? Invested in healthcare research, biotech, do more research on the things that are going to kill all of us.
That's your preference. But for the people at the lowest end that live depressing lives, their health goes to hell as fast as anything, because they're always suffering from lack of food, from the depression of not having, of seeing their parents going through divorces because they're not adequately supported by their husbands or wives or whatever. This is a major contribution. I'm going to agree with you. Instead of spending money on defense spending, the defense we should all spend instead of on weaponry, because no American has ever been killed by a foreign nation while they're in this nation, except maybe 9/11 when a foreign country killed 3,000 people. But it's so rare, no congressman or senator or president ever has lost members of his family throughout our whole existence, 250 years almost. But every day they lose loved ones, precious children and members of the family and best friends to to what Len was just saying. He would use the money to eliminate cancer and heart disease.
So let me take the other side. So if $6 billion could cure diabetes, don't you think that would be a benefit to more people in the world?
No.
Than giving $1,000 to a new baby?
No, because that we spend billions on, and we don't necessarily get. You know how many diseases there still are that after all we've spent on billions, trillions. So it's a good thing to do, but $6.75 billion is spent better the way Dell is. And I'm very proud because he happens to be a committed Jewish, actually adheres to his religion because he sent his kids to a Hebrew school and he obeys the Jewish law, Jewish guidance or demand that God made. It's called Tikkun
Olam.
Tikkun Olam.
Make the world a better place.
Improving the nature of this world. That's an obligation. So that's what he's doing. And he's doing it for masses that will never see this joy and will be prepared for a better life and to enjoy the opportunities that this country has in terms of schooling or training or investing more money, understanding investing. It's an education program. It's everything that you want for your kids if you have money. And,
do the kids need to leave it in for a certain amount of time, or like at 18, or can they take it out sooner if they...
I'm not sure, but I think they're committed to leaving it in, yeah. It's like an IRA account or something.
Yeah.
And they can convert it to an IRA account when they get older. So I think it's marvelous and wonderful. And Tikkun Olam is one of the most dramatic and impressive thing that any God could demand of his people, of his followers, to improve the world, to make it a better place. As a matter of fact, one of the things I would urge you to do is do nice things every day for other people, wonderful things, charity or nice deeds, or help some people that have trouble crossing the street, help them to cross the street. You'll never see such appreciation. I once helped a blind woman who was waiting to cross the street, and every time she put her leg, one foot into the gutter, into the traffic area, she pulled it back immediately because cars were coming at her and so forth. She couldn't get across the street, so I walked up to her and I said, "Could I help you?" And she said, "Please." And when I reached the other side with her, she was so grateful. I never got such a thanks if I gave the most expensive present to my wife, even when I gave her engagement, which I spent a lot of money on, her engagement ring. She was very appreciative, but it wasn't as fulsome as this. So do something nice for people, and that's a wonderful way to make your own life better. I promise you. But the other way to do it, lift yourself up in this world, is the reason I wrote the book that's I'm in front of you on your screen, Happiness Guaranteed or Your Misery Back. And at the lower part of the face cover, it says how to be happy no matter what. And this book emanated from the fact that I found a book when I was very young and often depressed and out of sorts and everything. I found a book by Bishop Sheen. What's his first name? Milton Sheen.
It was who wrote
Who wrote the book?
Thinking, Norman
Vincent Peale.
Yeah.
Who led a church, Catholic church in Midtown Manhattan, one of the most popular churches in the city of New York. And I came across it by recommendation of an early class teacher. I was maybe only in 5th grade or something, and he mentioned that how much it helped his life. And when I read it, I was lifted up because thinking positively changes your life. It makes you feel always that the glass is half full instead of most of the time people feel how burdened they are, how the glass is half empty or worse. And so, and that and Dale Carnegie came across through another recommendation by a teacher. He wrote a book, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And those two books inspired me because they helped me live through the challenges of the depressions I suffered through as a kid. Tragedies, disappointments, failures, difficulties. It made an enormous difference. So I made up my mind, if those books did that for me, I want to summarize what they are. I suggest you get them directly, but I have them summarized in this book that I spent 12 years, and I was still working on it, whereupon my daughter, who's written a number of books, said, "Daddy, I read it. It's so inspiring. It's so uplifting. It's so inspirational. And it's so happiness-inducing. You got to come out with it already." And I said, "Well, I don't want to miss any. I want to get everything," even though I already had all the biblical advice and all the great philosophers, going back to the Greeks, to Plato and Aristotle, and to rabbis and priests and religious leaders and everybody who wrote on it, philosophers who wrote on how to live a more fulfilling, uplifting, inspirational life. So I made that commitment, and I would have never finished if my daughter didn't say, and come along and help me finish it. She added the 2 years of worth to it. So it took me all in all 14 years. It has humor on every page. It's 365 days. So it's one page for every day in the year. You don't have to read it that way, but you would be wise to address it in some fashion like that. It has jokes, it has humors, it has inspiring stories, anecdotes, everything that any great philosopher or a great religious leader advised, and any great books on happiness or contentment. I like the word contentment better than happiness. A contented life is if somebody's happy with their portion, as it says in the teachings of our fathers, our predecessors in the Jewish Pirkei Avos, that how do you get happy? How is one happy? If he's satisfied with his portion. If you're happy that your fingers work and your brain works and you don't have migraines every day, and you get up with things that we take for granted. We get up in the morning and everything's working, and so I didn't never realize that till a rabbi friend of mine on the West Coast I visited with, and he had 5 kids, and one of the kids was born blind. And ever since that, then he realized how important just the most fundamental things are. You only appreciate them when you lose them. When somebody has cancer and loses his eyesight or his mental capacity or just his all the things that give joy, his ability to move his fingers or his legs or so. We get up in the morning and because it's working, we take it for granted. So if you counted those, which he does with his kids, he says, when you get up this morning, did you thank God that your fingers work, that your eyes work, that you can look out the window and enjoy the colors and nature and all the things that are out there for you to enjoy for free? There's a song like that, the best in life, things in life are free. The sun in the morning, the moon at night, the sand on the beach, the waves in the ocean, all of those things don't cost anything. And when we enjoy them, we take them for granted. So if you learn to even write down the things that make you happy and then look to them and appreciate them. If you see that your friend is doing well, that can make you happy. If your kids are doing well, that can make you happy. If you teach them a lesson and you feel it's reaching them and it's going to be beneficial to them for the rest of their lives, that can make you happy. There are so many things that cost nothing that can make you happy. So I mention all this because, as I said, when we talk about the events of the week, that if you're at all normal, they're not meant to make you happy, but inevitably unhappy. Inevitably, they depress you and get you sad and put you in a terrible mood and so forth. So count your blessings, write them down, think of them often. When you get up in the morning, thank God. everything works. Oh my God. You know, I don't have migraines. I don't have, my fingers work. My eyes work. I can see. It's said that till we lose all that capacity, the only way we tend to get that appreciation is if we ever go through that and then get those assets, those invaluable assets back, those capacities back, that we tend to appreciate them. So anyway, the thing I want to tell you is at the beginning of this program, before I launched the bad news, the horrors that occurred this week, I want to tell you one way to get happier, or to learn to be more content, and how to have a purpose in life. One of the purposes could be to make it a better world, tikkun olam, as God instructed the Jewish people to do. Make the world a better place. Don't just worry about your own selfish needs. Help your wife, your children, your neighbor, your community, your society, your countrymen, all of humanity. There's nothing more rewarding than the feeling that you do some charity that helps others. So, or the quickest way I can suggest to achieve that is to run out. Don't walk out, but as soon as the podcast is over, run out to the nearest bookstore or go on Amazon or some other website and acquire this book, Happiness Guaranteed, or Your Misery Back. Because I promise you, I can only promise you that because everybody who's ever acquired this book, at least everybody who's been in touch with me that ever acquired this book, and everyone who's told me they received it as a gift, has told me how much, written to me to tell me, thank you, Morty. I can't explain to you in a few words how much it's been helpful to me, beneficial to me. I'm uplifting my moods on training me to be a better person, and in the process, enjoying life and be more inspired about life, and always considering my cup half full. And, as I tell the story often, that a young man came to Thomas Edison, who after years and years of working hard and endlessly, finally successfully created the light bulb. Before that, we couldn't stay up late at night because we'd have to, if we wanted to read, we'd have to light a candle and get in trouble with burning down the whole house. And on the street, they had to walk around to lampposts to light them every night so you could see where you're going. One of the greatest breakthroughs in humankind was the electric bulb and the related advancements that Thomas Edison produced for us. And the young man came to him and said, Mr. Edison, I don't know how you did it or why you did it. Because most of us, if we fail once or twice or three times, we throw in the towel. And I learned in high school from one professor, one teacher, and in college from another professor, that you failed 1,000 times. It's repeated all the times because it's so amazing. So contrary to the behavior of the rest of us, who give up pretty quickly once something doesn't work or we're discouraged. So he asked Mr. Edison, how were you able to do that? I can't believe it. I myself, when I fail for 3, 4, certainly 10 times, I give up that project and move on. And you did it 1,000 times or more. And he said, Thomas Edison answered, young man, I never failed once. Whoever told you that? And he said, what do you mean, who told me? We always discuss it. My friends discuss it. My family discusses it. My teachers discuss it. My college professors discussed it. So he says, young man, I want to tell you, I never failed once in my life in this project. So he says, that's not true. You just give me a quick answer that comes to mind or what, because that's impossible. He says, no, that's the truth. I was working on a project that I wanted would be a fulfillment of a dream, of an impossible dream that people said you can't make it happen. And every time I failed, I thought I'm moving one step closer to success because I found out what didn't work and I moved on. And so every time I went back to the project, even though I had all these innumerable failures, endless failures, I knew I was getting closer to an ultimate solution, and that inspired me and gave me a lift when I went back to work on the project. So pick something that you would like to achieve in life, something that is within your capacity, because I wanted to be Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby, or what's his name, Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley. I wanted to be Elvis Presley. But my father once hired a cantor to teach me to sing. And he was a good teacher. But after the first session, I was depressed. And after the second session, I just didn't have the voice or the ear for music. And this cantor was very nice because he was getting paid a pretty dollar at that time for taking on that assignment. But he came to my father and says, Mr. Davidowitz, I don't want to take your money because there's no chance in 1,000 years that if your son, if I would stay and teach your son, he just doesn't have it, you know. So don't pick something that you want that you can't, you know, your capacity, your talent doesn't allow. But pick something that is within your within your talents, within your capacity to achieve. And then if you're excited about it, every time you go back to the project from day one, you'll feel good. Even with each failure, you'll realize, gee, it didn't work, but I think I have a new idea. And it'll bring you to the fruition of your dream. So write down some things. I mean, take that goal seriously, and then pick one that excites you and pursue it. If it's something as simple as helping other people and being good deeds and being the most charitable person you can be, charitable in the sense not only giving money because you may not have the resources necessarily, but giving of your time and your effort and your volunteerism. That is such a great payoff, so satisfactory. So, what's the word I always use instead of happiness,
Content.
contentment. Gives you real quality contentment, genuine happiness, not the joys of drugs or what do you call it, or beers, having a bunch of beers or a pint of vodka or something, all of which seem to be inducing happiness because somebody's slapping you on the shoulder and laughing and smiling and jumping around. And the next day the next morning he has a headache and is throwing up or whatever. That's not happiness. That's momentary thrills. You think that's great. So anyway, that's my word of advice to you. But the fastest way is run out and get a copy of this book. And I'm so sure it'll be beneficial because everybody has contacted me. Not one person has said, I bought it, but I thought it was a waste of money, or negative criticism. They all said, thank you so much. You don't know how much it's helped me. It's changed my attitudes towards life. I do see my cup half full instead of half empty all the time. I look forward to the next day. And that's real contentment. So because I've had that experience from the people that purchased the book or the people that received it as gifts, that sent me the same kind of notes, I decided to do something for you, to induce you to run out and get the book for your benefit, not for mine, because I take all the revenues I get from the purchase and give it to charitable causes, to scholarships for kids, to health research. So because I know that I'll get very few, perhaps none, I've got none so far, since I offered, if you buy the book or receive it as a gift and you're not fully derive joy from it, benefits from it, get uplifted from it, fulfilled from it, inspired from it, I will return. Send me the purchase slip, and I will do anything better than the best deals you hear on television, that you can get your money back and you can keep you could send your purchase slip back, and I'll send you your money back. That's a good deal for many of the supplements you might buy from advertisement on television, or even drugs that you're inspired to buy because they make such fabulous claims. So they say, if you're not happy, you can send it back and you can keep the empty jar or whatever's left in your jar, and I will send you your money back. I take the view that if you're not benefiting tremendously and getting more contentment in life and being uplifted and more fulfilled, you can send back the purchase slip that you paid for the book, or even if you acquire the purchase slip of the person that gifted it to you, I will return the purchase price times 2. For your purchase price, if you purchased it, or even the purchase price of the fellow or the person that gifted it to you. So right away, you get it, double your money back, and you still keep the book. That should make you happy. Just don't run out and buy 100 books and get double your money back. So I'm so sure you're going to get the same benefit of all these others who have yet to send back their purchase slip and ask for double their money back, which is a great inducement, because I tell them you can keep the book and get double your money back if they were dishonest. But apparently all of these people are rather honest. They don't ask for their money back. So do that. But if you're not happy with it, if you don't feel it gives you a lift, if it doesn't empower you more towards contentment and inspire you more, then please send it back to me, and I would send you back double your purchase, double the purchase price that the person that gifted it to you. So without further ado, follow that advice, have a purpose in your life, do Tikkun Olam, which is the Jewish dictate by God to the Jewish people, the guidance by God of the Jewish people, that your role in this world, each one of us, is to make it a better world. Okay, now the good news or the bad news. Why don't we launch the ideas that come up in the last week?
We discussed
that are worth discussing.
Yeah. On our last show before Thanksgiving, we started to talk about drug trafficking and the U.S. Aggressive posture it's been taking.
Did we promise the people that if they bought drugs, they would be happier?
So we started talking about that. I thought maybe let's pick up where we left off there, because we've seen some new events happen. Since the U.S. has carried out a series of air and missile strikes on alleged drug trafficking boats in the Caribbean, something like 80 people have been killed, and under the purpose of stopping narco drug related trafficking and terrorism.
Well, Leonard, for at least those 80 people, they won't be subject to any further misery.
That is true. We've seen those naval or marine events occurring, and now we hear President Trump saying that he is promising expanding the operations by land soon, in his words. So, first,
and also bombing or killing the few that were on the ship that are hanging on and still alive and are saved, and we killed them too because they are clearly part of the wrongdoers, the mob.
Yeah, so let's start there. What's your take?
Evidence.
What's your take on this issue of whether there was a strike, an order for a second strike? Under the rules of war, Geneva Convention or wherever, you're not supposed to harm people who want to surrender. You're not supposed to harm, if people are clearly
hanging on to life.
Right. You're not supposed to finish them off easily. And so the question that's arisen is, in one of these instances, a boat was bombed or torpedoed, and not everyone on the boat was initially clearly killed. So
they were still hanging on.
Right, literally.
When they flew
literally
over.
hanging on to the boat. And so someone, whether it was the Secretary of Defense or another general or whoever it was, gave an order.
Admiral,
I guess in the case of the Navy, yes, to finish it off. And so
they went back and bombed those people hanging on.
yeah, so what's you think that was justified? Do you think that the attacks in general are justified? Is this all just a prelude to an attack on the country to oust President Maduro because the U.S. doesn't like him and Trump doesn't like him? What do you think?
Well, I think in at least some cases, I'm against war totally. I think wars should be totally outlawed. But during our development and civilization, we determined that it's wrong to kill even wrongdoers in a war. If you capture them as prisoners and they did the worst things, you're allowed to arrest them, put them in trial, put them in jail for life, punish them, but not kill them, especially if you have no clear evidence that they even did anything wrong. You're supposed to capture prisoners and bring them to some jail or some place where you lock them up, give them a trial, find out what they actually did, if they did anything. Because in this case, it's all based on a theory or the assertion that Trump makes that we're at war with them, the war on drugs, I guess. But even in war, we're not allowed to do that. So they're expanding their options to such a stage which is not allowed even in the worst segments of war. So I think it's certainly wrong. We have no evidence that they were even carrying drugs. But even if we were, we could have captured those ships easily because they're not large ships, and we have a big naval presence in that area.
You could have captured them instead of sinking them.
Yeah, killing them
So
without a trial.
Why do you think? Why is the U.S. doing this? Why is Trump doing this? Is it a prelude? Is it a guise for regime change? Why are they doing this?
Well, he's saying they're so vicious, these people. They're sending over horrible drugs, not only cocaine, but fentanyl, and killing thousands of Americans every year. So they need to be wiped out. They need to be discouraged from ever doing that again. And to the extent they wipe these people out, they at least will not be doing it. And hopefully it'll teach others a lesson not to pursue it. So
you don't think it's anything to do with trying to change the government, trying to get Maduro to come out?
That might be one of the pluses too, because he certainly wants to see. I think Maduro lost that election, and he wouldn't give it up.
Well, if you ask him, he won it.
Yeah. Okay. But anyway,
yes. So
you can't.
So is that justified? Is it justified to get a bad guy out?
You can't put somebody in jail just because you suspect them or you accuse them. You got to give them a chance to redeem themselves through a jail. And so what they're saying is the laws of war, for better or worse, this is not appropriate behavior. So they're breaking it's a criminal law and international law.
So if it really is, an ulterior motive to get rid of a bad regime, do you think that
one of the?
Do you think that is it ever justified? Should the U.S. be involved in regime change, or should
Well,
we mind our own business,
there are other
no
ways-
matter how bad the regime
there are other
is?
ways to do that besides killing innocent people on a boat. Maybe you do make or you tell them, if you don't give it up, we're going to invade your country.
Yeah, I think that's what he's kind of implying at this point.
But I'm saying you don't have to kill
For sure.
a bunch of, which in many cases they find out were just fishermen on a ship. So if it's wrong, it's wrong.
So if you went after the government, say through a land, which may be the next step, a land invasion or some other, do you think that is an appropriate move by the U.S., or should we stay out of stuff like that? And it's not is it our place to go in and regime change a bad regime, even if it is, even if they're a terrorist-related government?
My feeling, we shouldn't be doing what we're doing. Straighten out every country in the world and every wrongdoing in the world. Monroe Doctrine said, even though in this case it's on our own
hemisphere,
we should limit our wars to where we're attacked or it affect directly.
So how do you
serious?
How do you stop that? So how do you stop that infiltration of the drugs without going after the government that's allowing it? How do you do it?
One of the major ways is deal with the demand, because we're a wealthy country. People have a lot of discretionary income. Unlike most other countries in the world, even though they'd like the drugs, they can't pay those kind of prices. So it's so rewarding that there's no way to stop it short of reducing the demand.
So how do you reduce demand for those types of drugs here?
Get more control of its distribution in this country. Lock up anybody that's caught selling it, or the pharmacies that give prescriptions. There's one city in the United States they found, because they were incentivized, but they were incentivized, taught how to incentivize them by a company you worked for, the leading consulting company in the world. What's the name of it? McKinsey, the largest, most famous, and they were hired by OxyContin to teach OxyContin how to sell more of it. And OxyContin showed them how, by bonusing pharmacies that sold more of it and issued more prescriptions, and doctors that issued more prescriptions, they'd get big bonuses. Some of these pharmacies made millions of dollars. So much so, as I said, in one city, they issued more prescriptions to individuals than there are population, including men, women, and children. So I think it's our obligation to stop it at the source. If it didn't pay so much, we understand that. Capitalism is, if it pays well, people are going to break their neck to make it happen. And especially in the drug area where it pays so well that you can become very rich doing the wrong thing.
So stay out. And stay out of the foreign affairs. How about, we're about out of time, but let's just draw one analogy. If we stay out of South America, should the U.S. also stay out of Ukraine and Europe?
In my view, they should. And if Biden was right, and I think if Trump was there, he would have, because Putin said, if you don't let Ukraine into NATO. NATO is a bunch of American allies that if any one of them is attacked, the United States goes in and helps them. And Putin didn't want to invite the United States to do that. So he said, if you don't allow Ukraine to join NATO, I won't attack. At the very least, diplomatically, he should have said, okay, we'll make that deal. We won't attack, but I want to tell you, if then you attack, you will face a response from the United States.
So, having made that error, what's the move now? How do you have to deal with what you have to deal with? So do you?
I don't know that you have a lot of choices. You can't keep on letting Ukrainians get killed en masse.
So do you help them? Do you
help them what? Help them to go to war against Russia?
Or do you just back out and let Russia eventually take over?
Let them. They've been offered a deal where they give up all the land that the Russians have captured, and they'll end the war. But you can't let them into. We're back at the same place anyway.
Yeah, because that's part of the deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we try it was worth trying. A lot of people say, well, we tried that with Hitler, and Neville Chamberlain went from England, and he said, I made a deal with Hitler, and it's going to end all wars.
Yep.
We're going to give him Czechoslovakia or some other adjacent land. And then he went ahead and did it anyway.
Yep.
So it didn't change. Hitler was worth trying. I don't think he said Chamberlain was stupid necessarily. He was hopeful. He trusted somebody, and then we wound up in the same place anyway.
All right, so we're back in the same place again. The end of the show.
Oh my God, I can't take it.
We wind up at the same place every week too.
Yeah. Again, I want to thank, which I didn't. Len Carter is a brilliant individual, one of the most brilliant I know. Graduated as an engineer, electrical engineer, from the best schools. He got his undergraduate college degree from an Ivy League college, Cornell. Then he went on to the best high-tech school in the country, Stanford, that has graduated more of the top billionaires who've created their own technologies, even while at school in many cases. Like Google was created by two young Russian Jews that were in attendance at Stanford and became multi-billionaires even before they graduated Stanford University graduate school, and have become even wealthier since. And many of the top tech investors, or what do they call them? Like the ones that invest early on.
Venture firms.
Venture funds. All of the top venture funds are right there in San Francisco, right where Stanford is. And it's out of that school they've gotten these opportunities to invest early on in things and technologies that they identify as very promising and have made not millions, billions of dollars. And so Len went to that school, and then he joined the best business school in the world. And I'm biased because I went to Harvard Business School, and graduated at the top of his class there. So I want to thank you, Len.
Thank you.
Coming back again.
Always a pleasure.
I impose on him, even though he could be making big money doing consulting and other things with his time. So I appreciate it. I hope you do. It gives me a hard time a lot of times disagreeing with me and making too good a case. But that's the benefit of the show and benefits my listeners. Aggravates me to hell. But so anyway, we're at the end of this marvelous podcast, and I want to wish you everything wonderful. I love you. Have a great week. Have a great day. Have a great every day of your life. Each day of your life should be better than the day before, unto eternity. God bless you. Bye.